So employers now are saying we're inclusive, we have embraced people with disabilities. So you bring in somebody who is deaf, and that person has no one to talk to. So inclusivity.
Or nobody understands what they're saying.
Inclusivity means teaching them sign language. Teach the staff sign language.
Hello and welcome to Ripple by Ihrm. We are so excited to have you on board for this conversation. In case you have missed our previous episodes, we encourage you to visit our social media platforms, that is Ihrm Kenya, across all platforms, and you will get to engage with the other conversations that we have heard in the past. Today we are so excited. We have a HR professional par excellence joining us in the expert corner. But before we get to that, here is what to expect from Ihrm. Welcome back. We are getting into the expert corner, and like I said earlier, we have a HR professional par excellence joining us today. She's not only a HR professional, a leadership and governance expert, Dr. Salom Gho, who is also a fellow of Ihrm. Welcome to the conversation.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So introduce yourself to us. I've said a number of things about you. A fellow of Ihrm, Dr. Salome Gho, leadership and governance expert. So who is Salome Gho?
I consider myself a multi-potentialist.
That's interesting. You may have to explain that before you even tell us what that means.
I'll unpack it slowly.
Yes.
So I'm a seasoned HR practitioner. I am a mediator, an author, adjunct or part-time lecturer, and in the various fields, of course, the main one being HR. When it comes to the space of lecturing and consulting, that cuts across HR, leadership, governance, and the whole business sphere. So because I employ various skills, that's why the potential list comes in.
All right.
Yes.
So not just potential from yourself, but you also bring out the potential in others.
In others, precisely, yes.
Yeah. I want to unpack that further because you've said a few things that are interesting. Before we even get into the fellow of Ihrm, which is the HR space, Mediator, you've talked about lecturing, you have talked about author. What has motivated you to get into all those spaces that you're in?
I think it was organic because initially, of course, my first job was in HR. And when you're in HR, to do your job well, you have to understand the various spheres. For instance, when you start doing aspects like job descriptions, in whatever industry you are, you start getting into a little of all the professions, right from leadership. If you're in the sector of health, if you're in the sector of academia, you need to understand what they do fully for you to then support the functions. So along most of my career was in HR, which is about 23 years.
Wow.
And then the rest, yes, that's a whole life. Then the rest sort of like evolved at the last part of my employment, moving from HR to strategy and business development. And of course, post-employment, I went into consulting and academia.
All right.
Yes.
And the authorship.
Yes.
That one is an interesting one. Tell us about your book and how you got there.
Okay, I call it my COVID baby because I found myself in that space during COVID when we are all locked in. And I think my thinking cap kicked in. So I actually initially just started reflecting on my experiences. And I always tell people the only way to write is to start. So I started writing a few chapters and then populating them. And it was exciting, reliving my experiences, keeping myself busy. And that brought a flashback on all the things that I had done. And I thought, I always talk about paying it forward and leaving a legacy and going empty, so that I was emptying myself. Yes.
You know, that book has an interesting name. It has something to do with rear view mirror.
Yes.
And you say it's a COVID baby, so you had
Yes.
time to reflect and all that. What are some of these experiences that probably you share in the book, and why did you feel the need to share them? You know, as you were relieving yourself,
Yes.
there were lessons in there that you felt needed to be passed forward. And where can people get the book?
Okay.
Yeah.
um, so as I looked back, I not only remembered my experiences, but I took time to reflect on what could I have done better, what could be different, and what do I tell those that are perhaps in that space, the upcoming. So it's both a reflection and a guide, because I give some tips.
Yeah.
So the experiences, I was quite candid with myself. I do admit where I goofed.
Yes.
and so that I can then pick the lessons.
Yeah.
I say one of the most important lessons that I picked is the subject of emotional intelligence, and a key one called managing your boss. Because looking at that, what I would say I lacked at particular time was the emotional intelligence to manage the people aspect better. So the various experiences, there are some are mine, some are shared with some colleagues, and it is, I'd call it sort of a guide.
Yeah.
Now, as for where you can get it, you can get it at Nuria bookstore.
All right.
Yes.
So please grab a copy of the book. You will enjoy it. I've had the opportunity and the pleasure of enjoying your writing. So teaching. You are with
Yes.
the Gen Zs and very soon Gen Alphas, and also capacity building for professionals. How do you juggle all that? And how is the HR space changing over time?
Right. I think I got into teaching again. I evolved into it. Something I'd never seen myself as a scholar. And when I went back as a student, I realized that I'm not that student that will just stay focused and just, get my work done. So I took up part-time lecturing, which enabled me to read and interact more with the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Now, what that does to me is it really keeps me on toes, because they teach you a lot. And especially with Professor Google always around,
Dr. Google, Professor
you
Google,
have
yeah.
to read ahead, and you have to structure what needs to be done, impart the key skills. Now, when it comes to capacity building, unlike the lecturing where you are imparting facts, capacity building, we are dealing with adults. So it's a sharing of knowledge, it's experiences, and appreciating that you're not the carrier, you're not the custodian.
You're not a know-it-all.
Yes. And so for HR, what I have found is that capacity building enables me to grow. And for the HR practitioners, the skills that are upcoming, there's no other way to get them unless you're training or you're in learning or in development. You get to hear about the latest practices, the practices and the what are the trends. And then you go back, read about them, curate new programs. So it keeps HR practitioners alive, and you bring back those skills to the workplace for practice.
And relevant for that matter.
Absolutely, because as you may go in, and actually sometimes you change on the spot. You go in with a ready concept, and I always start any sessions, I'll always ask people what they think about a particular topic. And especially when there are new trends, you find that on the spot, sometimes you have to change your speak because something new has come up. But I'm quick to admit where it's new, and I'll ask my audience to tell me more about what that is, especially since I'm in consulting and they're in active practice. So I learn a lot from the HR practitioners.
That's good. I can see the link between your practice as a professional and the teaching and capacity building element, and that ability to just keep learning and to even admit when you don't know something. Most people will struggle with that. So thank you for that. You have worked across sectors. NGO, private sector, public sector. I think you started in private sector, in public sector. How is the HR space changing, and how can professionals prepare themselves to remain relevant? You see, like for you, you say it almost happened organically,
Yes.
but there are things you must have been doing behind the scenes to
Yes.
ensure that even after the 23 years in HR practice, you were able to transition into other roles and still have impact.
Right. What's great today is that HR is moved from maintenance to strategic focus. We are now main drivers. In my days, we fought for a seat at the table. Now that we're at the table, what's happening is the transition I've seen is the legislation has helped a lot. The fact that we are governed by an act and an act of parliament, and it stipulates what should or should not be done, especially from the employer perspective. When I say maintenance, previously, HR role was to maintain, make sure the employees are well behaved or toe the line, and there was no trouble in the organization. Right now, what's happening is with the conferences, learning and development, the global market, the interaction, the technology. So we have brought all that to the space, and it makes the practice quite interesting and yet challenging. When we look at resourcing or recruitment, now we have global talent. You can recruit from anywhere, you can work from anywhere, but how do you manage? Or is it really manage or is it engage? And how do you keep these people interactive? How do you motivate somebody who is thousands of miles away?
And productivity.
How do you measure? And how are you sure that the yardsticks, the KPIs, especially cutting across regions and the whole aspect of culture. Some things work in certain organizations or certain culture and don't work in others. But the technology helps because that helps, enables you to bridge the gap. It sets out the whole aspect of AI also has come in. Both a threat or a challenge and an opportunity.
Exactly.
It depends on where you're sitting because when we look at making decisions, now data-driven decision making, all our HR analytics now come to play. It enables you bring out the talent, drive it towards the goals. But as you say, the productivity and all our indices coming to support the business. So HR is at a good place where the future actually does look very bright in terms of engaging and just driving the core business of the organization, because that's what most employers want. They want growth, they want success and significance.
They want results.
Yes.
How did you transition? Where have you worked in the past, like the organizations, and how did you prepare for this transition? That when we leave employment, these are the skills I need to build. You even went to school and got your doctorate. What was that, and what are those skills that professionals need to be building now for the future?
Okay, so my career started in the government, and what I acquired from the government was structure. It's a very structured place and a very good thing in terms of, for a start, that this is how things should be. Moving on then to state corporations, private sector, international NGO, and the skills change. HR is very it's global and the standards and practices remain the same. However, you customize, you have
Depending on the sector.
Yes, the sector. You have to, even in the same country or the same region, you have to adapt and you have to understand. So in some cases, you realize that you need an additional skill. For instance, one of the skills I had to pick up is because there are certain roles that you find that HR gets into governance or company secretarial. So I pursued company secretarial to enable me function, as a company secretary, not a defined role, but a practice that I found coming in. Other skills were things like coaching, mentoring, which you find that as a HR practitioner, most employees will end at your doorstep. and you have to give them a seat and an ear. So you find that some of these skills initially you don't have, and you do feel like, should I be doing this? You refer them to the professionals, they keep coming back to you. So then you see that's a skill that you need. Transitioning to academia was one of, I say, at least expected. It was more, I don't know, maybe it was a hierarchy. It was time to self-actualize.
It was time to move up.
It was time to self-actualize.
Is it something you always wanted to do?
No, academia was never in my corner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I needed to, in consulting, as I say, you really need to understand your clients. So you end up reading a lot because the practices are different. And I found that this reading could be structured in a way that I just don't read anytime I have an assignment for a client. I could easily just make it, constant. So in the getting into academia, then I found, okay, to sustain my own study, I need to get to learn how to, research. And so I got research skills, I got teaching skills. So it's almost on a need basis. So as you transition, I think the question HR practitioners should ask themselves, what's my next step? What do I need for that step? So that it is intentional. And today there are so many programs, especially online, and you can self-develop. You don't necessarily have to sit in a classroom or travel far. So those are some of the good things that help in transition, identifying what the market needs, what you have, and just filling that gap.
And what you want to achieve.
Yes.
All right. Then the certified mediator.
Yes.
I think it could be linked to also the challenges you face at the workplace.
Yeah.
But how has that, supported you with your business?
Right. Now, mediation is something that's voluntary. And the key thing is you have to be neutral. So actually in that one, there's a bit of a challenge when you are trying to mediate where you're the HR practitioner, because chances are you may not be seen as neutral. And yes, there might be a conflict. However, that has brought out organizational opportunities, other aspects, because what you need is the skills. How do you give people the listening here? How do you resolve the conflict? So in terms of even in the organization teams, when you have business challenges, for instance, the famous indicators, when a marketer or a salesperson goes out there, clinches a deal, brings back the deal, but does not collect. So finance has got a sum. Then credit control collects. Whose target is it? And sometimes there are fights. So in terms of, this was my target. I'm the one who met the customer.
I brought the business.
But you did not collect. We collected. So there are opportunities for mediation there in terms of, first of all, going back to see were the KPIs clear. But now, since there's a conflict, I use my mediation skills to resolve some of those aspects.
So I think it's clear that for a HR professional, especially in this century, you really have to have a number of skills, because the mediation one, you can use it for private practice, but even at the workplace, just like emotional intelligence, it comes in handy.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into Sally, the fellow.
Yes.
Because at least we have gotten to know you as a professional.
Yes.
You are the secretary of the board of fellows of IHRM. That means you have been around from the trenches, when we were setting this up, and some of us are enjoying the labor that some of you have put in. Tell us, how did you get involved with IHRM? What was the journey like for those of us who have not really seen what it is that you have had to do for the profession to get to where it is now?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a nostalgic question, or is it a nostalgic moment? Privileged to have been perhaps within the third or so year of the setting up of the IHRM, then IPM. Privileged, I say, because it's historic, the setting up of the IHRM. the bodies that we were looking up to were like now LSK, the medical professions, the engineers, the architects. So we HR professionals were somehow disappearing. We were the others. There are all these professions, yet you're the drivers of the careers.
Yeah.
So the first thing was meeting stakeholders. I remember we going to the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, just trying to sell and try to get buy-in from them as stakeholders to start our journey of recognition, which came, of course, much later with the Act. But then also setting up the curricula. We had to sit and see if we're going to be harmonized, we need to have some exams or some programs. So writing the curricula for exams, for recognition, and then...
And this is what became now the Higher National Diploma.
Higher National Diploma.
Yes.
So that is done. Then shock on us. Initially, I think we thought, so we're writing this and it's going to be ours. And then, of course, we bring in the National Examinations Council, and then they say, no, once you've done it, everybody can do it. Yeah. Which at that time was a bit of a shock, but it's a good thing because it means if you look at the numbers, more people can now be certified.
Yeah.
So when we look at the aspect of the HR journey going through the exams, looking at who are we benchmarking with and coming to what it is today, then the issue of fellows came up and categorization of these, looking at what contributions have people made for you to be considered as a fellow.
Yeah.
So that's a high recognition, and going through that, we felt, yes, the hard work pays, not because you have a classification or categorization of fellow, but when I look back and see, I remember one of the conferences when we started, just putting together a conference for HR managers, and all perhaps the 300 of them in the country showed up at Safari Park, compared to what's happening now. So that, for me, is success. Looking at that we used to fit in a small room, and now you need either a dome or a huge...
True.
Then I look at the role of fellows, the potential that is there. As a fellow, again, for me, I look at emptying myself, paying it forward. We have opportunities to curate HR stories to support the upcoming professionals. Being a voice, especially on national matters, regional matters, international, when HR aspects either are challenged or we agree with something. For instance, recruitment, learning and development, also the aspect of censure of members, if there's a reputational aspect. Research and publications, just to ensure that the profession remains alive. Because if we are not publishing or telling these stories, then we may find ourselves back relegated. So the journey is interesting now when I see the kind of things HR professionals are doing and the branching. Previously, you were a HR manager, or let's call it what it was, personnel manager. There was one in an organization, no matter how many people. So now we have all these business partners. We have different areas of specialization. We have the generalist, and then, of course, going up to very high levels. So those are good things that I'm seeing, and really happy about the growth of the HR profession.
All right. Having been with founders,
yes,
the likes of, I don't know whether you worked with Adrian Muteshi.
Yes, our first chair. Yes.
Ken Kaunda, who we also would have on this podcast. What is the vision? And how are we progressing towards that? Or what is it that you would want to see happen with the IHRM as the professional body as well as the larger HR profession? What would you want to see?
I'll look at aspects of growth in terms of, as I said, the publications and knowledge sharing. Right now we have a college. Nothing stops and an examination board. We don't necessarily have to go university way, but we can go to, we have all these business schools. and we have certain specialized colleges. I think we should look at regionally having a center for HR, which can also become international. So that calls for a lot of research, a lot of publication, and also the voice, the speaking up. When the country or the region is doing any recruitment, surely HR should be there because we are the custodians of some of these functions. So I think the presence of a human resource practitioner on any activity that is touching on either onboarding people, growing them, and also the offboarding or the outplacement. HR should, and especially when we look at IHRM and the Board of Fellows, we should work together to bring this as a standard that we don't have a situation where there's a huge decision being made about recruitment or learning and development, and the council of HR practitioners has not been sought.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. So thank you for the labor of love that you have put into the IHRM to have it what it is today. Now, I see something interesting that you teach basic Kenyan Sign Language.
Yes.
I hope I got it right.
Yeah, Kenyan Sign Language.
How
yes.
did you get into that? And can you teach us one or two words?
Yes, I will. I'll teach you I'll sign my name and then also the sign name the deaf gave me.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed a little to say that I was just curious.
That's good.
I was
Curiosity is a
just
good
curious
thing.
to see, okay, yeah, this is interesting. People actually are communicating, and for once, you're the one who is out. You're the outsider. You don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And unlike when people are speaking French or German, Spanish, Chinese, or Mandarin, where you have a word or two, this one you're blank. So that led me to start sign language classes. Actually, just did them down the road at the All Saints Cathedral. The basic sign language takes about 8 months. The key thing for the sign language is the alphabet. There's a different alphabet, of course, using your hands. So sign language, that's sign and that's language.
Okay.
So I was just curious to learn it. And once I got in, I was hooked. I got a new family. That's now my tribe because they are such loving people. They embrace you, and they taught me beyond, now the language.
Yeah, using words.
Yes, and you see what we say is we speak with our hands, but listen with our eyes. So, for instance, during COVID, having them use masks was a bit unfair because some of the expressions come with you voice or you almost make some signs with your mouth.
Yeah.
So you have to be aware, for instance, how you sit when you're talking to them. And you can't have like dark glasses because there's the communication. And you can't, the way I could talk to somebody, I could talk and somebody behind me can hear. For them, we have to have contact. You have to face each other. So my sign name, I'll just this is an S. That's an S. This is an A. This is an L. This is an O. This is an M, and this is an E. So that's Salome. So then they look at you and they give you a name. So they gave me this, if they want to talk about me and you can't keep, so they gave me, that's my name.
Dimples.
Yes. Okay. Once they were there. So when they're talking, if they want to call me, they just do that.
Okay.
And so the key thing, what I say is, if you had told me 10 years ago that I have ever discriminated about people at the workplace, I'd have said no. But the truth is we do discriminate against those that are not like us. So employers now are saying we're inclusive. We have embraced people with disabilities. So you bring in somebody who is deaf, and that person has no one to talk to. So inclusivity.
Or nobody understands what they're saying.
Inclusivity means teaching them sign language. Teach the staff sign language. So another thing is you create very funny ramps, very steep. Nobody can even wheel themselves up there. True. So that's not inclusivity. So for me, on the sign languages, I'd encourage HR practitioners to put Kenya Sign Language as one of the, when you say what are the core skills people should learn. If we really want to be inclusive, we should embrace Kenya Sign Language. And another thing I like to say, if we want to end this tribalism in Kenya, Kenya Sign Language will kill it. It doesn't matter where you come from. We have one language. Actually, they don't know any other language. So that's the thing. That will equalize us all.
All right. That's interesting. So moving away from just ticking boxes to say that we are being inclusive and we have diversity and actually doing something to actualize that. This makes me very curious about your personality.
Yes.
Because it's interesting how you would pick a role and a gap or something you needed to build on, and you actually went and studied or got a skill for that.
Yes.
What's that? And you said you were curious, and that's a good thing.
Yes.
How would you describe yourself in terms of personality?
Okay. I have an assessed personality. Normally, I say I'm outgoing. I'm extrovert. So if you know the MBTI types, I am an ESTJ, which is an extrovert. I am a sensor. I am a thinker and a judging.
I am an ISTJ.
Oh, ISTJ, okay. So the thing is, depending on the environment, sometimes it narrows and I could almost move to the I. And I think when I am with the deaf community, learning to keep quiet, which is very difficult
as an extrovert.
But that enables you to introspect and reflect and actually appreciate so much. So it's something that brought in so many other aspects in me, almost taming and really just keeping you controlled, because you really have to keep still and watch and listen
and allow the other person to speak.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. It's good to know. And Salome, the woman, the family person, tell us about that and how you have balanced. When you were getting to the world of work 23 years ago, it was a different world altogether.
Yes.
Of course, it keeps changing, but how have you balanced all this and raised your family and all that?
Another admission, actually, sometimes I don't know whether you balance or so that's
you keep everyone alive, including yourself.
You have to know that you have many balls, and I think for me is to know which one am I picking. So there is Salome the woman, and there are various aspects that I have to look into and accept and see how do I take care of this person. There is Salome the wife, and that and also who is also a professional, who is also a mother. And there are times when you have to pack one of the others to nurture this particular role. There is Salome the grandmother.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Nice.
I'm a grandmother of 4.
Oh my.
So when they say that grandmothers somehow spoil, it is not spoil. It is sort of like making up for.
They're like,
so I
can play around with them. Then the evening they'll go with their parents.
They can take them back. So it's sort of like, those balls I was saying when they're in the air, in the career, when perhaps I was traveling or I was busy at work. Now I have all the time for these grandchildren, and is it a guilt trip? I don't know. I'm making up for what their parents missed. So the roles, one just has to be really alive to each. And there are times you can pack. There are some you can never pack. You'll never pack being you, and you'll never pack, especially when you're at a job, you have to do it well. And there are times you sacrifice. For instance, when there's travel, you have to pack. You emotionally go with the family, but then there are certain roles you now have packed. But you have to have peace. If you don't make peace in yourself, you can't do it. So you have to realize that all these are your roles. and you have to nurture each. So you keep going back. For instance, my education is very interesting. So I did the first normal bit where you go to school up to university and then went back and for the family. And then stayed another like 10 years and then went back for professional. Then went back, and you have to really, because when you go back to school is 1-2 years, then, and it's intense. So you run back and you have to, of course, now focus on the family, and you're still growing in your career. But I say all the balls are yours. Some will fall, but if it falls, remember to pick it and try to just bring it up.
So there's no shame when they fall. You just pick it and keep going.
You see, that's why you have to come to terms with yourself. And I'm no longer superwoman. I thought I was. You're human, and you have to realize that your hands are only so big. Your shoulders are only so broad. Some will fall, and you just admit and pick it up and make up.
And keep going.
Yeah.
All right. What is it like to have grandchildren?
I think it's the most amazing experience and very rewarding. Very, very rewarding.
All right.
Yes.
I can't imagine seeing my child have a child.
Yeah.
I think I can understand why the excitement is usually there. So what can we expect from Salome moving forward? What would be your parting shot and advice to HR professionals as we bring this to a close?
Wow. Okay. For me, I say I have to keep going.
Yeah.
And keep going is learning new experiences. What I'm purposing and committing and promising myself is to write it and share it.
Yeah.
For instance.
So we can expect another book.
Yes.
Okay.
So at least, because if I don't write it, then I don't know where I'm taking it, and I don't know if it is needed. I think it is needed here. So the whole issue of writing is or emptying is something I promised myself. But to write, I must learn more, and I must engage with professionals, and just keep going. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Salome, for making the time to be with us today and for challenging us. That's a good way to end it, because we tend not to document and to, write down what it is that we have learned for others to utilize. And even the challenge where you say, for me to write, I have to keep learning.
Yes.
So thank you for making the time. Thank you for your contribution to the profession and for bringing us this far. And we look forward to reading the next chapter of Dr. Salome Gitoho. Thank you so much. That has been Dr. Salome Gitoho speaking to us on Ripple by IHRM. We are so excited to have you join our conversations. To keep up and to stay in touch with us, follow us on our social media platforms at IHRM Kenya across all platforms. Until next time, I have been your host, Ihrm.